Hi, this is Linda
And this is Joseph.
with Generation to Generation. Today we're going to talk about listening to understand. What do you think about that?
Well, about to find out.
Okay.
About to find out. I'll let you know.
Okay. So, Pastor Flowers, can you share what does that mean and how can we do that better?
Well, thanks again for the opportunity to be with you again.
Yeah.
Listening to understand is actually the beginning of communication. It's really the beginning. I mean, real communication, because communication doesn't take place unless the message sent is the message received. And there's a lot of things that get in the way. Okay. And so listening to understand is the beginning of the process of communication, because of this human need that all of us have, and all humans want to be understood. So that's the beginning of the process. If you don't understand, or you don't feel like your mate understands you, then you feel discounted, you feel slighted, devalued, and anybody that feels devalued, discounted really isn't up to listening to what you have to say, because they're losing goodwill for you.
So I think it's important to, and we've said this before in previous broadcasts, imagine what it's like to be your mate. Imagine what it's like to say something to them that they may not understand, but if you could put yourself in their shoes, maybe you would say it in a way where they would want to hear what you have to say. Too often we, just, I want to get my point across. I need to say this. You need to hear me. And if you come off like that, you turn a person off and they don't want to hear you.
Yeah.
But having the skill of empathy, trying to imagine what it's like to be that other person. If you have a message to give to them, how can you say it so that they want to hear? And here's a key. If a person is not willing to look you in the eye, they're not with you. And so that's why these exercises that we talk about doing, congruent conversation, being knee to knee, looking at each other in a way that you really feel understood and that person really cares about you. Not so much that they want to get their point across, because a lot of times people want to talk, but they don't want to listen, and they, they discount you when they feel like you don't have anything to say. But when somebody leans toward you, looks you in the eye, and their posture says, hey, I'm present, I'm here, I want to hear what you have to say. Did I say something that offended you? Did I hurt you? Did I say something that you don't quite understand? I want you to hear me. And I want to be understood if I'm going to talk to you in a way that you want to at least give me the opportunity to be understood. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Coming from different backgrounds, men and women are always coming from different backgrounds. As children, we may not have felt understood or devalued or not valuable. So if we connect with someone and we have this need to feel valued, but the person we connect to has no idea how to do that for us, then we start to feel discounted again. And that discount and that devaluation is familiar with us, and we don't want to cooperate with you. So we in our body language, we're constantly communicating. So if we're not being heard, we're communicating also with means. So when you're trying to talk, I'm not going to listen to you either. Mine, the little kid, it's mine. I'm gonna take my toy and go. I'm not gonna play. If you're not gonna let me play, I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna take my ball and go home. It's just an adult version of the same thing.
Right. And often we revert back to that childhood of not being respected in a way, you know, like, oh, I don't like the way you looked at me, or why are you looking at me that way? There's this kid inside of us that's always wanting to be heard and wanting to be appreciated and wanting to feel important. Those are some needs that we have. There's a little boy, and I'll say this until I can't say it anymore. There's still a little boy and a little girl inside each and every one of us.
Mhm.
And sometimes those needs weren't met with our parents, and we still have a hard time with those needs being met with people that we're engaging with. Sometimes on the job, you may have a good idea, but everybody, you know, knocks your idea down, or your boss says, well, who thinks like that? Or I can't see that working, you know, and just putting you on blast in front of everybody. So what do? You don't talk, you clam up.
Mhm.
Okay, if that's how you feel, then maybe I don't have any good ideas, or maybe I do have a good idea, but I'm not going to share it with you.
Mhm. Yep.
I'm going to
And,
start my own company.
and that has happened.
Yeah.
There was someone that used to work for IBM that left and started their own company called, what is it, Microsoft?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have lost out because they did not have good listening skills. They didn't know how to affirm a person as they spoke,
Mhm.
you know, because you may not agree with that person, but you could at least say, well, you know, that's very interesting. Let me look at that some more,
Mm,
you know, or tell me more.
digest it, or let me digest that.
Yeah.
Any kind, those kinds of conversations that it doesn't commit you to agreeing with them, but it lets them know that you're really thinking about it. Basically, that's all you can actually ask of a person, to just hear you,
Right.
especially an adult. You can't make them agree with you.
Right, because we're all entitled to our own opinions.
Yeah. The only thing you can really ask of an adult is to hear you.
Could you at least hear me out? Yeah.
So when do you feel, because I know that, so when do you feel that you've been heard? Because I know that for me, one of the things I always say is, would you let me get to my period?
I got you.
End of my sentence. I got you. So it's
one of the parts that, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
No, I'll just recapping on that, just because if you cut off halfway all the time, or somebody's answering, because you ever had somebody chime in, you know, you got 2 words out and they're chiming in, you know, you ever had that happen or seen it happen?
Oh yeah.
Well, if you're gonna, you know, I can tell you if you let me get there.
Get there.
Let me get there.
You
know,
you mean like I'm just doing you?
Yeah. They're taking the conversation this way, but you're gonna go this way, but they're actually taking the conversation that way.
Yeah.
No, you know, if you let me finish, let me get to my period, then we'll be going this way.
Not the way you want to go.
So
yeah, it is really important to be able to one of the basic foundations of listening is silence. It's one of the basic principles of listening is silence. To be quiet and let the person have the floor. You know, you can't really listen very good if we're not good at being quiet.
And for some of us, that's difficult depending on who we are, our personality type, because sometimes it's hard to shut down, you know, because you got stuff going, just, you know, 100 miles an hour.
You're thinking about things.
Yeah, all the time, because we're bombarded, especially now, I think, especially in this COVID era, we're bombarded with messages, and because we're not out and about and we're not with a lot of people, we keep getting these messages of the same thing and the same thing. Sometimes you can look at a program and with in a 20-minute period, you might see, excuse me, you might see a commercial played 3 times. Like, I just saw that. Okay, you want me to buy a burger. I'm not buying the burger. But it's, you know, and it's these subliminal messages. You know you want this burger. You know, look at the cheese melting on this burger. Look at the steam coming out from
I'll
the
be right
meat.
back. Oh. Woo, girl, you got me hungry.
Sizzling,
Yeah, the bacon is sizzling, you know.
Burger King right down the street.
Yeah, you know. And then there's a Coke on the side, and the glass has you know, condensation on it, you know, and you can see the effervescence at the top. And all of a sudden, you just had, you know, you had maybe dinner a half an hour ago, and now all of a sudden you want a burger.
Yeah.
Subliminal messages. And that's what we sometimes do in our relationships. You know, when we turn our back on someone that wants to speak to us, or we are busy doing something and we don't stop and pause and actually turn around and look at that person to give them our full attention, that's a subliminal message of saying, you know, what I'm doing is more important than what's going on with you. And that's a message that can make you just want to shut down.
Yeah. Anytime you send a message like that to a person, they're going to close down.
Yeah.
They're going to shut down. You know, so the key to communication from both parties is I want to be heard. So if you send a message like that and they shut down, it's just aggravating for both people involved.
Right.
You know, that just don't work. So,
Right.
but the cultures that we come out of quite often makes us normalize that kind of behavior, and we just do it, and we don't know why we're feeling frustrated with each other, and we just think, you know, that you just don't want to hear me, you don't want to listen to me, or I think it's okay to just interrupt you and just talk over you, and all of those kinds of things. I have no clue that you're experiencing that as disrespectful, because I've normalized that behavior. You know.
Wow. The only time you find somebody quiet is when they are on their cell phones.
Oh gosh.
People be real quiet then. You ever go out and see people on their cell phones? Starbucks? Not Starbucks. That's probably not a good example.
At a
Real
restaurant.
quiet.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, no, I know what you
Waiting
mean.
for that. I'm sorry.
Now, what were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, waiting for that chime, you know,
Okay.
oh, I got a text,
Yeah.
you know, someone called me or whatever, rather than, you know, let me put my phone down. Let me put it on the table, put it down, turn it over. I'm going to ignore it because my time with you is more important than this. Unless you have emergency situations, you know, like if somebody's in the hospital and you're waiting to hear someone, or you have small children and you left them with someone and you're, you know, so you're kind of on high alert. But at the same time, if you're with that person, you actually want to be with them. I'm giving you my time. Could you give me your ears?
So that's putting down a cell phone is a form of listening.
Yes.
You know, because the cell phone got you basically you're talking, you know, the equivalent of talking, having your phone in your hand, equivalent of listening, putting the phone down.
Yeah.
Listen to your environment, listen to the other person, paying attention to the road and the people walking. So, yeah, I mean, it all makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Both are listening.
It's, you know what? Most people don't really listen. They just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Talking all the time.
Let me tell you what I'm thinking. Let me tell you how I'm feeling. Instead of, how are you feeling? You know, most of the time when we greet each other, we say, hi, how are you doing? And the other person will say, oh, I'm fine. That's what we usually do. But sometimes a person could be behind a mask and they're really hurting. And you'll never know until you actually sit down with that person and actually allow them to share with you what's going on, or to share with you what has happened, you know, sometimes. But then people have to feel very comfortable. They have to feel, because they don't want to feel vulnerable, like, oh, you're going to judge me if you knew this about me, you know. So sometimes we have to feel a person out to see if they're a person that you can share with. And that's the beauty of a marriage relationship. If it's a good marriage relationship, that is the best, one of the best things that can come out outside of some other perks, but that's one of the best things that can come out of a relationship, is that you actually have someone that cares about you, that loves you, and is with you. And sometimes you can wake up in the morning and they can look at your face and they can tell, did you sleep okay? No, I didn't. So why didn't you? Like last night, we had winds, crazy, crazy winds last night. So I didn't sleep very well. And he always asks, so how did you sleep? And I said, I didn't sleep too good. It was all that wind, you know? And so he was genuinely concerned because he asked. And that makes me feel like, you know what? You're genuinely concerned about me because I guess you like me. You like me?
And want to be around you, because when I'm around you, I feel better about me.
Oh. Stop romanticizing, Pastor. Come on now. I didn't know there was a Disney Channel.
That's a concept that we're developing. I like you. Well, I like you because I like you because I want to be. So because I like you, I want to be around you. Because when I'm around you, I feel better about me. Yeah. So we're developing that concept.
That's a real thing. I remember when I used to go to this convention.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to this video game convention, and I used to go with a friend of mine who was really into video games, and I'm into video games, but he was really into video games. So as we're driving, he's planning out his day, and I'm gonna stop and do this one first, and I'm gonna check this out second, and I'm check this out third and fourth. I was just happy just to be there, just because he was excited.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So I would actually scrap some of my plans just to see him be excited.
Wow. Wow.
You know what I mean? So just so you can have that moment of, what do you call it? Just happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other person is happy.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're basically guys, they're basically three foundations to the listening skill. First one is empathy, and then the second one is acceptance, and then the third one is genuine, being genuine. Empathy, meaning what is it like to be you, and acceptance, meaning I believe you can fix your problem. I don't have to fix it for you. And then genuine, meaning you have a real person listening to you, a real person, not someone trying to pretend, but a real person listening to you. So with those three foundations, you can basically help a person without really saying a lot, work through their issues. Because remember, they're the one that has to decide what's going to happen, not us. I accept you. That means you could fix your own problem. You're just sounding it off of me. I don't have to fix it for you.
Right.
Because
we all have the capability in a lot of situations to fix our own problems. We need to just maybe talk it out. And sometimes for me, in talking something out, I'll come up with my own solution.
Right.
But if you don't have anyone, if you don't have like a sounding board, someone that you can talk it out with, you will just sit there and go over it and over it, and not really come up with a solution. But while you're explaining what's going on, all of a sudden a light bulb goes off. It's like, well, I never thought about it, but maybe I could do this. And if you say, yeah, you probably could, and it probably would work. Now I feel that I didn't have to burden you with how you can fix my problem. I could actually do it myself, but you were there to support me.
And
Then
there's
you end up saying and then you end up saying thank you. And that
Yeah.
person really do nothing.
Right. Well, and just, thank you for hearing me out. Because while I'm talking, I'm fixing it myself.
Yeah.
I just needed to talk it out.
And there's something that happens with people when they feel like someone else gets it. And that it's almost empowering that they work through their own situation when they feel like you get it. You know, so that acceptance is, you can't really be real at listening to a person if you don't accept the fact that they have the right to fix their own problem and that they have the ability to fix their problem. You can't really be acceptance. So there's regular listening. Regular listening is what we just do all the time. When nothing's wrong, it's just regular listening. We just do what we do. But then there's the second kind of listening. It's called reactive listening. And it actually has a acronym that's a nickname. It's called jacking. And jacking it's JAQ, and it stands for judging, at giving advice, and asking questions. Those are the three major things that turn a person off when they're trying to talk to you. Judging them, well, you should have did this. That's
or why didn't you think of doing it?
That's judging. Or giving advice. The research has helped us understand that if the person they didn't hire you
as a consultant,
don't
hush.
give them advice.
Hush, just hush, just hush.
If
Can
they
you
don't,
just hush?
if they haven't hired you,
I'm gonna get a puppet. Hush, just hush. Little sock puppet.
But again, our environment has created this thing that causes us to do all of this damage and create pain for each other. We feel like I have a better way of doing a thing, so I'm going to tell you when you didn't ask me. Okay, and especially if I'm trying to work through it, and I'm just wanting you to hear me. What I need is to be heard by you. When you interrupt that and give me advice, it turns me off. So then I close down. Don't want to talk now. Okay.
I was going to say we can even do this with children because it helps children achieve problem-solving skills. Now, if a child makes a mistake, what you want to do is make sure that you cause them to think about what they did and why they did it. And that way they can start coming up with, well, I could have done it a different way. As a parent, you always want to allow your children to develop skills on their own, not always, because it's easy for parents as adults to tell our children what to do, when to do, how long to do it, and all that. But they have to, their brain has to begin to develop, and those cells have to start firing if we allow them to think for themselves rather than tell them everything. We actually cripple their creativity.
So, and then the last part of that acronym is Q. That means asking questions to give advice. So the person feels like you're being derailed or they're being tested. Or is your feeling or your thought, is it really authentic? Is it really real? When we start asking questions. So it is there's a time for things like that, but when a person is really excited about something or upset about something
or sad
about something,
Mhm.
jacking is probably not a good idea at all.
No, it's the worst thing you
It's
can
probably
do.
the worst thing you can do to a person.
Yeah.
As far as them feeling heard by you.
Right.
You
right.
know. So then with that foundation, then is the beginning of listening skills starts with a concept called attending. And attending simply is well, it's like being attentive to you. It is you give them your eyes, and I think we talked about this before. You're giving them your eyes. You're giving them good posture. You're leaning toward them a little bit. You don't have to exaggerate that, but you just lean toward them a little bit. Giving them your eyes says, I'm in the moment with you. And giving them good posture says, I'm alert. And then leaning toward them a little bit just says, I'm interested. And so that's the beginning of good listening skills. So that's a physical skill that you can do to help a person feel like you're listening to them. The next part of that is I think it's called opening the door, and it's simple. It's simply you seem a little upset today. Is there something wrong? I'd really like to hear about what's going on.
It's another way of saying, tell me more.
Yeah. And it's just inviting the person to talk to you. I'm really interested in you. I'm really concerned about how you're feeling. Is there anything going on? It's up to them to say it is or not. But what you've done is open the door. Yeah.
And at least that's a way of letting the person feel like if they are ready to talk, that you are available to hear them and that you want to hear them. Too often, we're so busy with life, we feel like and it's not taking on another person's problem, but just being there to listen, to hear, to try to understand what it's like. And too often, I think people don't want to do that. They just want to move on. I just want to get through my day, and somebody could be going through something tragic or very it's and I don't want to use just the word tragic, but something that could really cause the person to break. Sometimes we hold that stuff in because it sounds like, or we feel like nobody wants to hear me. And a lot of people sometimes feel like, who would listen? Who really cares? And everyone at some point needs someone that says, I care. I genuinely care what's going on with you. I'm not just asking because it's the polite thing to do, but I'm genuinely concerned. And so sometimes we have to watch how we say, oh, I'm fine. Your tone can give off that you're not really fine. So, but I think we have to be comfortable with people to get to that level of intimacy.
That's what I was going to say, because I know a lot of people, as we're going about our lives and stuff, if they do that, they fear that that person might ask something of them. You know what I mean? And I think people, I mean, you can just look at going to the grocery store, people going in and out and whatnot. And then you have somebody out there, because I'm thinking people outside sometimes want you to talk to them and stuff, but people just don't. And it doesn't have to be that scenario, but, people are scared that you're going to ask something of them. Right? That's why they always cut this conversation short, I think. And, be very careful who you want. I don't know. It's kind of strange to balance it all, right? And you hit the nail on the head. You got to be comfortable.
What
Mhm.
about the people who say, how are you doing as they keep walking?
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
you doing?
Hey,
Fine.
how are you? They don't
I'm
even-
doing okay.
People are busy, man. They want to get to point A and point B, and they don't want you to hold them up.
Yeah.
So
I
getting
think,
somebody to sit down, man, is wow. I mean, getting somebody to sit down, because I know even in the house, when Linda blocks my path, like, I'm walking, and I want to go. She blocks my path, and I'm like, you don't say nothing. And I'm like, so I don't know if she's just trying to get me to stop or something. To talk. But yeah,
Oh, make some placards. What? Oh, good.
so to get people to stop, man, and because even at home, I'm leaving the kitchen and go back into the office because I got something on my mind, and I got a couple of hours before I have to go to bed.
Yeah.
Stop me. So
Yeah.
that, I'm like, man, how long? So in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, how long is this gonna take? Like, so yeah.
yeah, it is. It's really a discipline, and we are so busy. Mhm. We are so busy, and we got so much going on, and it is a discipline.
Mhm.
And we've normalized being busy, so that's our norm.
Mhm.
You know, and so when everybody interrupts that, it's like, what? You know.
That happens.
Mhm.
And that's why it's a skill, because anytime you develop a skill, you do it again and again and again and again until you perfect it, so that you can do it in your sleep, or you can do it if somebody asks you on the fly to do something, you can just do it because you've got the skill to do it.
I think one of the things that we have to weigh when we look at it, Joe, is that busy, while it's become our norm, and it is our norm. I mean, it'd be not realistic to think it's not. It's our norm.
Yeah.
But what did we lose to make this our norm? You know, because I think our level of intimacy is much lower because we're more busy.
With stuff.
And I don't mean sexual intimacy. I mean closeness. Closeness in our relationship is less because we're so busy. We're so busy. And to change that means I have to discipline myself to stop doing my norm, to go back to doing something that's not normal intentionally because I want a different outcome. And that's a decision that people have to make, couples have to make. And listening is the beginning of that, because if we don't do the listening, we don't do very well with the expression. And if we don't do that very well with the expression, then we can't solve problems. And if we can't solve problems, at some point we start to wonder, why are we together?
Right.
Because we just represent pain for each other.
Right.
You know, and humans move away from pain.
Right.
You know, so if we can't problem solve, then we can't do conflict management, and it just becomes a painful experience for us. And, you know, and then if you think in terms of, if we have kids that are growing up in our environment that's watching us, why would they want what we have? Why would they want that?
It doesn't look attractive.
It doesn't look attractive. So their level of commitment for what we think it should be is way lower than what ours was when we entered into an agreement in relationship. I'm working on now, just working through some of the stuff we talked about the last time, just trying to put it into a curriculum form, the circle. And today I was working on the part of that called commitment. And it's just, as I was working on that, I'm like, you know, people are not going to like this.
It's not going to be popular.
It's not going to be very popular. You know,
what a shame.
Because the level of commitment that was talking about, I was in Hosea, that was dealing with Hosea and Gomer and all of that. in that level of commitment. Today, people would call that, you must be stupid or something crazy or something like that. But that's actually the level of commitment. I mean, it's all the way through the Bible. That's the level of commitment. It was the level of commitment God had. It's the level of commitment Jesus had. And it's the level of commitment I think that we have to have in our relationship. And it's just, I mean, like I said, people are not going to like that.
Yeah. You know what?
I put a disclaimer up there in red. You got to say on the top, you got to say, okay, you're not going to like this. Yeah.
Kind of like a disclaimer.
Yeah. Then they'll make them curious, like, you know, I think
what am I not going to like that? Yeah, but I actually think that in dealing with premarital and marriage couples, or premarital couples and couples that are married are going through issues, you actually have to remember what your commitment is, in how to do that. So lack of communication just makes your commitment harder. It makes it harder to do when we're not good at communicating.
Right.
You know, and if it's harder, then it's more painful, then we don't want to do it. But the problem with not wanting to do it is it doesn't eliminate us from the responsibility of what we said we were going to do.
Right.
You know, and that, it just becomes a real issue. So communication then becomes extremely important. So it's attending, and then it's the open door, and then there's this thing called, well, we talked about earlier, silence. Giving your partner space to actually talk, you know, and talk it through. You know, be surprised how difficult that can be. Just giving them time, silence, just letting them talk through it.
Well, you know, Pastor, men like getting to the point, because I know sometimes women, they got to they have to set the scene. Right? The scene has to be set first before you get to the, you know, so that's the part. Huh?
To the meat.
The meat. We want the meat, but you have. But so I mean, yeah, so you gotta learn how to do that, man. You gotta learn how to sit down in the silence there. See that you speaking to me right now. Okay. So that's hard.
Yeah.
Could you just say it?
and the thing with this is, when we're working through that process, our body is actually revealing what we're feeling. So we're really communicating. I'm frustrated. Come on, get, you know, we're not saying the words, but our body and our eyes are.
Hey, Daddy, just say it. Could you just? Oh,
ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
what to do?
It is tough for all of us in some area. That's tough. Silence is really tough in some areas for all of us. And but it's a necessary skill by you.
Right.
And while you're being silent, you give them good eye contact. It's a thing called power listening light from one of our curriculums, from Healthy Relationships, California. Power listening light is just non-committal sounds, you know, along with eye contact and leaning toward a person. Wow. Really? Wow, I see. Ooh, okay. You know, and what that does is help your mate understand that you're still present with them.
Right.
You know, still present. You're in the room.
Yeah. I was gonna say in the.
Kathy, let me ask you a question now, since you're a female. So why do women always want to talk when the game is on? You know, at that level. So the game is on. So now, see, here's a test. So you got to pause the television or turn it off, because you know you got to give that eye contact, and you got to lean in a little bit.
Oh my
But
goodness.
now, you know, in the back of the mind, it's like, it's been 10 minutes. and it was the score was tied. So I know I'm joking here a little bit, but that's a reality in a lot of relationships.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
You know, women, research says that women, and I forget the numbers, but we have a lot more words that we use during the course of a day, as opposed to a male. Men don't say as much. Men just get to the point. They just say what needs to be said and they get to the point. But women, we skirt around the issue. We create an environment. And so our way of communicating is a lot more flowery,
Mm.
if that makes sense. So it's not just, we're not just going to cut to the chase and tell you what. We need to set the stage so that you understand where we're coming from, because we're more touchy-feely than you guys are. You guys are meat and potatoes. We are meat and potatoes and vegetables and gravy and, you know, cornbread on the side and everything else. There's more to us than meets the eye. And sometimes it's very frustrating for men, you know, because they don't want to engage that much. And sometimes we as females just forget. If he's looking at the game, whatever you need to say, you need to write it down and discuss it with him later. But give him this time, you know, like sometimes if his door is closed to his office, I don't know if he's studying, if he's praying, but I knock. I don't just barge in. I knock, and you know, are you okay? You know, that's just me. And then we've been married for a long time, and we've been learning all this information. So I've learned not just to hear what I've learned, but to actually put it into practice. And I believe it's beneficial because it's working. One of the things that I have, and I'm turning the corner, but one of the things that I've learned since this pandemic is there are a lot of people that are in the house together and they didn't realize how much they didn't have in common because they were busy. He was going to work this way. She was going to work that way. He had the bills to pay. She had the kids to take care of. But now they're smack dab in the middle together for long, extended periods of time. And people are stressing because their relationship wasn't as good as it could have been. And now they don't know what to do with this person that they said they love. And it's not that they have fallen out of love, but over the years, people have just learned to live their separate lives. And, you know, women used to stay at home and men would go to work. Now women are going to work and women are coming home from work and the man is coming home from work. And now they got to do stuff, you know, in order to get ready for this evening and tomorrow. So as females, a lot of dynamics have changed. And we need to just pay attention to what's actually going on, because we can lose each other in the process if we're not paying attention. I've heard people say, well, we fell out of love. How do you fall out of love? You know, we fell in love and then you fall out. Somebody needs to put on a seatbelt.
That is true. Or they rewrite history saying, I never loved you. You know, they rewrite it in their head to make it fit for that moment.
Yeah.
Rewriting history.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question. I'm sorry. Did I kind of answer? See, I kind of did this.
You were setting the stage.
Okay.
But it's a good set.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, it's just that, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot that, I don't know. It seems like a lot of things have just gotten in the way.
Yeah.
From the fundamentals and the basics.
Mhm.
We crowded. There's so much, so fast that the basics are just something. They're there.
Mhm.
Fundamentals are there, but it's just we didn't forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes we have to give each other space. And sometimes I think it's very sobering if we were to think, what if that person that I say I love, but things aren't as good as I'd like them to be, what if they weren't there anymore? It's very sobering to think, did I say that I loved you enough? Did I pay enough attention to you? I don't want to live with that regret. I don't want to live with, he tried to talk to me, but I was too busy. Or she tried to say something and I remember that I didn't have time. People have gotten calls, those calls where somebody was in an accident and they didn't get there in time to say, I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you when I should have been.
And why is it that stuff comes to memory, like comes to your mind, like why does it flood you like that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I think, Joe, part of that is the grief process is because ultimately and bottom line is relationship is really what we're about. I mean, we got everything else going, but the bottom line is we're created for relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We are relational beings, and intimacy is the real reason why we have relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And when we lose the opportunity to have the relationship, then those things which are intimate times come up front. They come to light. And so that's why it's important for us to discipline ourselves to make sure we make the main thing the main thing.
Right.
Because
at the end of the day, what's really important?
Yeah, it's not a job. It's not our cars or our houses. None of that's really the important thing at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's relationship. That's what's important.
Right.
So that ability to the next part in that would be just give back to the person what they're saying to you. That's that idea of power listening. Give back to them what they're saying to you in your own words. Just and quite often the games and all of that is a part of those three questions. Am I okay? Do you still love me? And it's the ability to recognize that. The game may be, in her experience, competition. It's not to you. You're just interested in the game. Okay. It's not a competitive thing with you. You're interested in the game. Oh, such is about to score. Let's see what's going to happen. You've been talking crazy at work all day and talking all kind of talk. So you're going to go back tomorrow and rip on each other about the game, and something is fixing to happen. And it's important at the time. It's not about, to you, competition. That's not where you are, and not nowhere that didn't even come to your mind. But it may be in her experience, depending on what she's normalized, what her background is. That might be an opportunity for that question. Would you choose me?
Because if you can sit in front of a device for 2 to 2.5 to 3 hours
and display so much excitement.
Right.
Woo! Woo! But you don't act like that toward me.
Well, you gotta get you a jersey and a basketball and football.
So
start somewhere, man. Go ahead over there.
So it's all of those things can be dynamics that's playing into it, and it as men it's really important to be able to answer those questions for our mates, And as women, it's really important for them to be able to answer those questions for us. And as parents, it's really important for us to answer those questions for our kids.
Don't forget the kids. Don't forget the kids.
Am I okay? Did I do good? Do you still love me?
Because if the people that are closest to us can't get our attention, they'll go and ask someone else. They'll seek it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want. So I think it's important to just, have an understanding that if it's, like if you want to watch your game, make sure that everything is okay in the household. Maybe there an emergency might happen, but if it's that important to you, I should give you that. That's a gift that I can give you. I'm not going to bother you. I'll bring you your chips, your wings, your Pepsi, your pizza, whatever you want. But let me give this to you as a gift. And at the same time, I'm wondering, could you spend that much time with me and enjoy my presence? Not putting a guilt trip on anybody.
Oh, I feel it, Kathy.
No. That was not my intent. That was not my intent.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go watch some superhero movies now, because you took me to those. I'm just messing with you.
No, you know what? Because I know that there are people that are going to be watching this.
Yeah.
So this is for the masses. This is not for you. There's no reflection on you. Because I don't know how big of a sports fan you are, but
so
for some people, it's everything. It's everything. During the season, I gotta watch the Lakers. Are they going to be in the championships? Are they going to win? Blah 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 blah. And it can go on for several months. But at the same time, how can we make that person feel that we say we love, that they're just as important?
Yes, that is important.
Yeah.
It's a lot of unlearning that we have to do. Right? We have learned the incorrect things
and normalized it.
20 years or more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And to really have a person treat you in a way that makes you feel good, they actually have to be healthy. They have to be a healthy person. And a healthy person is a person that's secure in who they are. They can't bring you chips and salsa and whatever that is that you take and give you the game without being okay with themselves. The best person to treat you good is a person that's secure in who they are. And so all of those things are dynamics that's involved in this. And so we work together as a team. We're a team working with each other.
Right.
Two flawed human beings working together to make relationships work.
Right. Because we all come with our stuff.
Yeah.
I have my stuff. Everybody has their stuff.
So just to put it in biblically, and James said, be quick to hear and slow to speak and slow to wrath, or slower to anger, because when we're angry, it doesn't work right standing with God. And Jesus told the people, his disciples, he said, look, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. And what you're going to find is that I'm meek and lowly in heart. And what that means is, to take my yoke upon you means you have to take the burden of me on you. If we're going to be together, you got to take my burden upon you. That means take on the responsibility, the weight that comes with me. That's why that third question is so important. Do you still love me? What it really means is, now that you know who I am, are you still willing to pay to be with me? Or am I just not worth it to you anymore?
Steve.
And why?
So we're always asking those things all the time, all the time. The older we get, the more sophisticated we are in how we ask it. But we're asking it. I know we got away from listening, but you know, that's
good stuff. Yeah, it keep it, you know, it's I like it because it keeps me attentive. It's not boring.
Okay, it works. It works.
I know I like to joke and laugh and go down a rabbit hole sometimes, but
No, it's okay. It's okay. Just, you know, that's fine. This is fine.
Because sometimes what,
Mhm.
you know, we discuss can be painful to hear because people know, man, I'm not there. Or I have failed miserably in this area.
Mhm.
And we're not here to,
Mm-mm.
you know, put anybody down or put anybody on blast or anything like that. What we want to do is give people food for thought.
Yeah. After 50 some years of being together, what we've discovered, Joe, is that we're two flawed human beings
Right.
working together, trying to make this work.
Right. Right.
That's
And
who we
skills
are.
help make it work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
hey. Well, do you have anything?
So this is going to be a two-part then.
What?
Is it two-part? Because you only did the first listening to. You didn't do the other two, right? You didn't do.
Yeah, there is. I think we may have covered power listening light. Then there's power listening, and power listening is really the most
The meatiest part.
The meatiest part. You know, I think we hinted at it, but it is a skill that is. I mean, and there's something that you would do, and you have to recognize when to do things like that. If your mate is in trouble, or they're hurting, or something is really bad or really wrong, or they're really excited or something like that, then power listening would probably be the best way to approach them, to approach it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I need to learn some power listening because I know in meetings at work,
Mhm.
you know, my mind wanders. Like, man, so because you need to pay attention because you got this vendor on the phone, that vendor on the phone, you got these people, and you're trying to visualize everything. So I'm a visual per learner.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, woo, listening, man, that's it's tough to listen.
It is.
It kind of hurts me a little bit because you know, I try to really listen. I listen, and just like it's that's a skill I gotta, you know, not just for a relationship, like, well, not just for this relationship,
Mhm.
but because you have relationships everywhere,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So to try to absorb that stuff,
Yeah.
whoo, my goodness gracious. I need to ask God if I can be reborn again. Can I get another try? Cause you know,
You want to do over?
can I get a do-over? Because you know, with some memory.
I got you, Joe.
Oh my.
I got you, sir.
Don't be lying going into the interview talking about I'm a good listener. Right. Yeah, that's one of my strengths. No, good way is that a strength.
And then you say, and what were you saying? I'm a good listener, but what was that you said?
Then they writing down. I thought he said he was a good listener.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Woo. Oh, okay. Well, it's been fun. I really enjoyed this one too. It's been a fun session, and we thank you for your time. We really do.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity, Joe.
Yeah.
You and Linda. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.